Welcome back to another episode of Chatting Cinema. I'm Gianni.
I'm Flynn.
And it was Agatha all along.
Yes, and if you're watching on YouTube right now, you see that Luke and I have some backgrounds that foreshadow what we're talking about today, which is the culmination, the finale, the end of WandaVision. And it was
Oh
beautiful.
boy, it really
Sad.
was.
Very sad. Yeah, so
Tragic.
obviously, if you clicked on this episode, you're probably seen the finale of WandaVision, hopefully. So this is just the clear, we're gonna get into all of it, spoilers for the entire series, probably for the whole MCU, just to be safe.
Yeah, just
So
in
if,
case.
if you're not interested in hearing that, probably don't watch this right now until you're caught up. But WandaVision is over, and we're talking about the finale today, and I really loved it. I know that I think that it's been a mixed reaction to it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really good. So I just wanted to start the conversation by saying, in all the debate, post the release of this episode, like as soon as it dropped, it was just a full discussion of like, well, we didn't get this and this is why it's bad, but we did get this, so this is why it's good. And I don't think anybody took the time to like stop and be like, this was 9 really amazing episodes of a really awesome communal TV viewing experience. It's been the best communal viewing experience I've had since The Last Dance came out, because we don't have movie theaters really right now, so we don't really get that. So week in, week out, getting to talk about what we think's going to come and what just happened has been so awesome. So shout out to Jack Schaefer, the showrunner, Matt Shackman, who directed all the episodes. Lizzie Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, Tiona Paris, Julian Hilliard, Jet Klein, Kat Dennings, Randall Park. I don't know if I said Tiona Paris yet, but Tiona Paris is Monica. Like, they all created something that I really loved so much, and I hope that like in the coming weeks, as WandaVision is not in our lives, people take the time to be like, wow, thank you for making this, because it brought a lot of joy for a very extended period of time. So I think that's a good way to start the conversation about it.
I couldn't
Absolutely.
agree more. I think at least for this season and coincidentally with The Mandalorian season 2, I watched every episode twice, and almost immediately I want to watch it a third time, and that goes to show how good the show was, and specifically that finale. I think that a lot of people right now are kind of getting lost in the discourse about, like you said,
Right.
Flynn, what we didn't get, what we did get, what fans wanted, and maybe they're disappointed that they didn't see Magneto fly in at the end. But I think a lot of people are kind of forgetting that, like, this finale was probably one of the best conclusions to a story the MCU has ever given us. Specifically, seeing Wanda and Vision and their family come together in the end, and tragically
Yeah.
disappear in the end. So much tragedy surrounding this show, and a story that's ultimately about grief.
Mm,
Um, is really impactful for a lot of people, I think, and resonates with you because anyone can relate to this, I think.
right.
And I said to I've said to you guys in our group chat privately that I can't get over the music of this show. Like the score, I've been
Yeah.
closely following on Spotify. Every week they drop each episode's album, and they're all so good. But
They really are.
uh, I loved it. I loved the finale. I had no qualms whatsoever.
Yeah.
Nothing negative to say about it.
Yeah, I think I really love how you started this episode, Flynn, because I feel like more and more these days it's hard to find somebody that's just positive on the internet. And obviously, opinions are 100% okay. You are allowed to have qualms with things, you're allowed to disagree with things. But think about it this way. I think WandaVision, especially given time to age and like for us to sit with it and rewatch it and add it to our MCU rewatches,
Mhm.
I think it's going to go down as one of the most innovative, creative, intuitive, and just fun pieces of media that Marvel Cinematic Studios will ever make. And purely because this felt the most like a relationship between comics, TV show, movies, and like all of the mediums we've gotten, but like meshed into one. And they just did it seamlessly. And they
Yeah.
gave us really interesting characters that we had already seen before. They had given us new characters that we had never seen before. And like the fact that they were able to juggle all of these things, and even people who really hadn't seen a lot of the MCU, you really just needed to see
Yeah.
like the Avengers movies to understand this, and like Civil War. But I just think that what they pulled off is so cool. And like
Yeah.
for this to be the first TV show out the gates, like Marvel has set themselves a very tough standard,
Yeah.
because of
High bar.
all these TV shows they have announced, and like I know they will come out with quality stuff, but the thing is that WandaVision just hit every mark.
Yeah.
It and like Gianni, what you said about it being about grief, the finale was Wanda having to face the grief for real.
Yeah.
And like that is such a relatable story in 2021 after the awful year we've all been through, where 500,000 Americans have lost their lives to COVID-19. You telling me that people don't know grief right now?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
like Marvel is so relevant with their storytelling. And at the end of the day, this is what this stuff is all about, is giving people an escape, but also ways to process emotions and feel
Right.
them and feel seen and heard. And I think that this show just nailed it. It really just did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the goodbye at the end that Gianni brought up when he was talking. I mean, you know, it, anybody, I guess spoilers for comics too. I don't know. But as soon as there was a trailer with two like cribs, I was like, to anybody that would listen, like, yeah, don't get connected to these kids, man. They're like, they'll probably come back down the line, but they're not making it out of this show. And I didn't think Vision was gonna make it out of this show. And then I changed my mind. I was like, oh, maybe he will. But then he didn't. But he did. So we'll talk about we'll talk about that. But yeah, I was very much not prepared to say goodbye. And I think that's a testament to, Paul and Elizabeth and their performance, and Julian and Jet, who played Billy and Tommy respectively, like just immediately making us fall in love, because I don't have any like specific love for Speed and Wiccan as comic book characters. Like I like them, and I don't have anything negative
You
to
got
say,
no
but
beef.
yeah, I just don't have like a personal affinity for those characters. And just like immediately these kids made me fall in love with Billy and Tommy, to the point where, saying goodbye to them, it just felt so emotionally sincere. And I think that that's the big thing about this finale, because everybody wants to talk about, like, oh, it's the same old Marvel, like devolves into the CGI fight. And we've discussed this kind of off the pod, but like, I don't even think that it did that much. Like the only thing that I would personally like be like, about the fight scenes was some of the early stuff with Wanda and Agatha. I was like, okay, like it's just there. But I thought Vision versus Vision was awesome, and the way it resolved itself with the Ship of Theseus conversation, like I thought that was so authentically Vision. And I
Paul
loved,
Bettany got to work with an actor he's
yeah,
always wanted to work with too.
great chemistry,
It,
sparks flew.
oh man, it was wonderful.
And then Billy and Tommy working together with their powers, like I thought was awesome. And then Wanda kind of taking the lesson from Agatha about the runes and using that at the end of their fight, I thought was really clever too. So like none of that stuff even bothered me. I thought it was all integrated really well. And then it got to the end, and it was just so impactful and so well done. I thought that, when people got right on the internet and was like, oh, it's just another Marvel thing that they're fighting, I was just like, did you watch it, man? Like, did you not see the ending of that episode? Because that, like, I bawled my eyes out. And then I watched it again and I bawled again. And maybe people think that's silly to cry over a Marvel thing, but like I don't, because I have attachments to these characters and they mean something to me. And I already said goodbye to Vision once. I didn't want to do it again. Like I already did that in Infinity War.
Twice.
I didn't want to have to watch Wanda do this yet again. But
Exactly.
I thought that like that contrast, like starting out the episode and doing the fight that we all knew that was coming, and having that be the loud part, and then ending the third act so quietly, like it was just them in the house having a
Yeah.
conversation, Vision and Wanda telling Billy and Tommy how proud they were of them and thanking them for being their kids. Like I thought it was really gorgeous. So I think that a lot of the criticism of the finale, what, like, I agree that parts of it are warranted, but I think that a lot of it misses the mark and misses what this show was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I
I
want to
also
say,
think,
no,
or
go ahead,
no, you
Luke.
go, you go.
Well,
All right.
this is a testament to not only the writing, the directing, and the performances, but just the overall meaning of the show. And that is that, like, I wasn't exactly going to Infinity War or Endgame or Civil War for Wanda and Vision.
Right.
I was going for some of the other characters like Cap and Iron Man and the rest of the Avengers cast. But it wasn't until this show, at least for me, that I really like got closer to Wanda and Vision and felt by the end the same way for them as I did for Tony and for Steve. And that's again just a testament to the writing, to the directing, to all of it. So
Yeah, I think that's the thing to look forward to most with these Marvel shows, is that like with movies, they kind of have to be strategic with who they pick or the leads and everything. And it sucks because that's just how marketing works. And like unfortunately, movies with certain leads just don't do as well. And I wish that wasn't a thing. But these shows are letting us get to explore these characters more. And like the character who's staring over my shoulder right now, I am so glad that Agatha made it out. Yes, she's brainwashed, but like Marvel, one of my biggest gripe about Marvel is that whenever they really nail it with a villain, they die. Like almost every time where like the villain is almost the best part of the movie, do they make it out of that movie? No. I want to see Agatha again. I would love to see her down the line at some point. And she even said it to Wanda when she was explaining the whole lore of the Scarlet Witch, how it was forged, not born, and like tying it all into Age of Ultron and like making that movie more worth watching. Like kudos to them for sneaking stuff like that in all over the place. But Agatha does have a point, and if you read the comics, she's Wanda's teacher. So like, who knows what that relationship could be down the line, and how she could get reintroduced. Because I just have a feeling that's not the last of Westview we're seeing. I think it's the last of WandaVision, like no more episodes. But like, I just have a feeling that this show is just meant to be a catalyst for so many other things, like in disguise, while also being its own really great piece of media.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think that it was very, like, I think there was a, like you're saying, talking about leaving Agatha, like, I think there was a big emphasis on that scene, like making it clear like she's still around. And like Catherine Hahn, came out in an interview after the show and was like, yeah, I'm super down to do it now that I have a taste of being in the MCU. Like, I would love to come back. So I definitely think that she's set up to return as maybe not a villain, but kind of like a neutral, like, she
Like
could be
Loki's role.
there. Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, like could be there as a teacher. Like, who knows if she could fill that role. But I think it's so funny talking about the character of Agatha Harkness, because a lot of people, one of the gripes I've had with people that have had gripes about the finale is a lot of people complaining about what we didn't get, right? We didn't, like Gianni said, we didn't get Magneto flying in, and it wasn't Professor X, and there wasn't multiverse stuff, and there wasn't Mephisto or Nightmare, or Chthon, or what have you, and all this stuff. And I don't know, maybe just for me, like after episode 8, I was like, there's no way they have time to like do this. And one, I prefer the way they closed out the show with the finale, because everybody was part of the contained narrative of WandaVision as a show. So everybody that had a major role to play in the finale was somebody that we already developed a relationship with. It wasn't somebody coming in and like, oh, actually Agatha was working for Mephisto all along. Like Luke said, to open up the episode, it was Agatha all along. It was just Agatha Harkness, and I really liked that. But the second thing I wanted to talk about is I don't think that comic fans sometimes truly appreciate the moment we're living through, because WandaVision for 9 weeks was by far the most popular television show in the world, like
yeah,
by a wide margin. And that was a television show that included the Darkhold, Agatha Harkness, West Coast Avengers Vision, the birth of Speed and Wiccan, the introduction of Sword. We got Skrull stuff in the post-credit scenes. We have the origin of Monica Rambeau, and then Agatha Harkness is a main character on a Marvel television series. Like, I I really just think that people just need to stop and appreciate what you're getting, because like Agatha Harkness is not. It's so funny watching people that like aren't like super into comics like talk about like this is what you need to know about Agatha Harkness. Like if you really like comics, like Agatha Harkness is not a big character. Like
Yeah.
she's not very significant. She is attached to the Fantastic Four a little bit with Franklin Richards, and her most prominent role has been a sort of mentor to Wanda, but like it's so incredible that we're getting stuff like this. Catherine Hahn played Agatha Harkness in a television show about Wanda and Vision living in a pocket reality, acting out a sitcom life. Like, who cares that we didn't get the multiverse? Who
Yeah.
cares that this isn't the springboard for mutants? Who cares that John Krasinski didn't show up as Reed Richards? Look at what we got. Like, that's absurd. That's absurd that that exists in this media ecosystem. And I just, like, kudos to Kevin and everybody over at Disney Marvel, because I think they've created something that's so far and away anything that I could have imagined coming from this universe in a live action sense. And I'm just really appreciative of what we have.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that leads me into sort of my final thoughts on all of this, and that is that every phase of the MCU, I feel like, is held up to a higher standard. There are questions of, will it be as good? Will it sort of falter out? Is there fatigue?
Mm.
And in every phase, Marvel tends to blow audiences away and reinvent in a way. And now heading into phase four, they're really sort of making a dent in the TV landscape, which is just insanely impressive. And,
Yeah.
the same way that I want to go back and rewatch The Winter Soldier or Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm going to want to come back and rewatch this. And again, that's just a testament to what the MCU is and what it continues to be and become and evolve into. And I can't wait for more.
yeah, and I think everybody craving multiverse stuff. Do we forget that there's a movie called Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming out that has Wanda in it? Like, they have a plan. At this point, they have proven that they have plans and they can execute, because there's this movie called Avengers Endgame that came out, and it was pretty successful in tying together 11 years of filmmaking. And now you're telling me that we're getting TV shows too in the mix, which just opens the doors for so much more, because we're going to be podding about it, but we got Falcon and Winter Soldier coming up. We got Loki coming up. And I know this summer when What If is coming out, we're going to have so much fun watching that too, because that's just like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So, like you said, Flynn, comic fans, I get why they're angry, because they're so passionate. They love this stuff so much. And for so long, it was not mainstream to like it. It was not mainstream to make movies about it. But remember where we are, what we've gotten, and what we're going to get.
Right. Yeah. So just my final wrap ups, like as far as fandom is concerned, like I just like step away from ownership, right? Like we've gotten so much good stuff. Like, was it I think I personally think that it was a funny red herring that they cast Evan Peters. I'm sorry. I think it's hilarious that he didn't turn out to be multiverse Quicksilver. And we still like my dad was actually the first one to tell me about the fan theory that he was the specific missing person that Jimmy Woo was looking for, and he's actually still Peter from the Fox universe. But like, I don't care either way. Like, I'm not a huge fan of that later X-Men cast anyway, so I'd rather just see Marvel start from scratch. And also, I will note that people did not have the same reaction when J.K. Simmons just popped up at the end of Far From Home. Okay, so I don't like he's just there and there's no explanation. Everybody's like, that's awesome. But then Evan Peters, because we had weeks and weeks to be like, okay, so when is it going to be revealed that he's the Quicksilver? People are like, man, this sucks. Like, and I get it that like the show is like actually kind of making fun of you by like naming him Ralph Boner. But again, like I just thought that was funny. So yeah, like even the controversial stuff like that, I really fell in love with the show. And to echo what Gianni was saying, like this, I think Marvel's longevity, and smarter people than me have already talked about this, but like everything is so different. Like, this is so different from what a Winter Soldier is, or what a Guardians is, or what a Thor Ragnarok is, or anything like that. So I think that they're going to have continued success by being able to reinvent this stuff and kind of go and roll with the punches and be like, this is what we're doing now, and continue to push those boundaries. And like Luke, like you were saying, to echo that point about Multiverse of Madness, like, I think that phase 4 is going to have, a lot of people think it's going to be the multiverse phase. I don't even think that. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Spider-Man. Like, all we really know for sure is about Jamie Foxx, and Alfred Molina seems pretty confirmed, but Jamie Foxx for sure, because he posted about it on Instagram and then deleted it because Kevin Feige probably texted him right away and was like, what are you doing? Don't do that. So we know about them. We don't know what the multiverse situation is with Spider-Man 3. We know that it connects to Doctor Strange 2, but that could just be Doctor Strange popping up. We really don't know any plot details. I think that we're going to have a lot of stuff about time travel because Ant-Man 3 is introducing Kang the Conqueror. I would assume in a post-credit scene, I don't see Kang being a purely Ant-Man villain. That seems a little silly. But I think that what Marvel's doing with time travel and the multiverse is really giving themselves outs and being like, this is the way we can continue to survive for the next 3-4 decades. We already have our 10 years like down pat with the Infinity Saga, but with a multiverse, like, you can do characters that you've already done and you can do their stories in different ways and make it work and still have it connect and still have it feel authentic to what we've seen before and still have it be part of the wider universe. So I think that Marvel is definitely interested in exploring those avenues. Like Luke said, Doctor Strange 2 is called Multiverse of Madness. Like, we're going to get stuff like that eventually. People are already theorizing, like, we didn't even really talk about the post-credit scenes of this show, but the second one with Wanda in the cabin, people are thinking like maybe that's Wanda Gore Mountain, which is connected to Chthon, who's connected to the Darkhold, so that all fits in there. There's so many things that can be done, and one of the things to be encouraged about with the success of WandaVision after the MCU was forced to take a break for so long is there is still a massive hunger for this. So we're gonna get these stories, like, they're coming. So just be patient and appreciate things for what they are. And yeah, just to close, I think that WandaVision was a really beautifully told story about grief and love and loss and processing those things. I think the whole cast, the whole team behind it deserves all the praise in the world because it really meant a lot to me. And like we've kind of talked about throughout this, like, I think it's going to rank in the upper echelon of how I view the MCU. And I haven't like really sat down and been like, okay, where does this rank specifically? But it's definitely one of my favorite things that Marvel's produced. And it just was the perfect way to start phase 4 for me because it shows they can nail the Disney Plus thing and they still have all these fresh, interesting stories to tell. So at the end of WandaVision, at the end of that finale, all I could think after drying my eyes a bit was, I can't wait to see what's next. Like, I can't wait to see what's next for Wanda or West Coast Vision, who just kind of pieces out of Westview, or Speed and Wiccan, or characters that haven't been in this show. Like, I really can't wait to see what Marvel does next.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And can't wait for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Very excited.
I can't wait for Chatting Cinema's coverage of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up our recap and final thoughts on WandaVision. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Gianni.
I'm Flynn.
And I'm Luke.
And we'll see you next time.